Good evening, everyone. My name is Joseph Ukpong, Joe Ukpong as they call me, from 1994 set of FGC Kwali, Abuja. I'm the National Public Relations Officer of the National Executive Committee, and this is the Kwali Round Table. We call it Kwali Talks. As you know, Kwali is working, now Kwali is talking. We're here today at the AGM, or right after the AGM we just had a short while ago in Abuja, and we're here with our panelists who are all ex-Kwalites, who are all part of the active management of FEDGOKOSA. We're here to discuss several issues that have been affecting the House and issues of interest to the House, and we'd like to show our members, our viewers, what has been going on behind the scenes, behind all the events and publications they have been reading. Together with me today, we have some of our esteemed and very special members of the FGC Kwali alumni, and I'd like to introduce them to you right now. Starting with our sister.
Hello, good evening. My name is Fatimah. I'm an ex-Kwalite. I am a certified national accountant now, chartered accountant. I studied accounting, of course. And I'm an 04 set member, and I reside in Abuja.
Thank you very much. Next, we have...
my name is Cyprian Amgbah. I'm the national president. I'm of the K90 set. I'm a barrister and solicitor of the Nigerian Supreme Court, and I live in London, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome. Here, what do we have?
My name is Josiah. Graduated 2004. Presently an educational psychologist and the President Welfare of Abuja Chapter.
Welfare Secretary, you mean?
Welfare.
Okay, sure. All right, we have... Okay. Who do we have here?
I'm Sultan Kamal Abdulazeez of the 09 set. I'm currently a scientific officer with National Agency for Space Research Development. I am currently the president set of representatives of the 09 set. Good to be here.
Welcome, thank you very much.
My name is Aboki Salimata. I am 91 set. I'm a senior program officer at National Orientation Agency, and I'm the national provost. Thank you.
My name is Nnanyelu Nwune. 04 set. I'm the current SecGen for the Abuja Chapter. I'm an ICT and business consultant.
So there you have it. These are our esteemed members. We are all welcome to the event. Did you say 04 set, to be fair?
2010 set.
You said
okay,
04.
She said 2004 set. So I was wondering if I had my... Well, she got promoted rapidly overnight. So, Kwali Talks. Mr. President, sir, we just concluded our national AGM, and a lot that happened there. For those who didn't come there, we have a summary of some of the key things that were addressed. We have questions from our members. We had a small initiative called Ask Mr. President. Things that you've always had in your mind, issues that concern you, want to hear from the President directly what the answers are. So we'll begin with the issue of membership dues, which we are made to understand were covered extensively during the AGM. Mr. President, sir, after years of deliberations and reviews, we are informed that FEDGOKOSA has officially adopted the membership dues policy at every level. Can you quickly tell us why it's taken so long, what the advantage the dues have now conveyed to the association, and what we intend to do with the dues when collected?
Yeah, I think it's taking so long because our association is actually a young association compared to other unity schools. And so the idea of paying for membership is something that is new to our members. So it's taking long because there are also different schools of thoughts. You've got the older set who feel that the amount of money should be higher. You've got the younger set who say that the amount of money should be a certain amount. So there's this issue of where do we pay the dues, who do we pay the dues to, and that's key because this association has always started with chapters. Now, it didn't start with a national body. And so the chapters were obligated to collect dues, and we're struggling with that. So it's not like dues is a new thing. It's like dues has been there, but the chapters had that issue, how do we collect the dues and so on. So we then had the national body, and the national body is now saying do not pay dues to chapters now pay dues to the national body. So you now have conflict. You have conflict between the national body, and you have that conflict with the chapters as well. And in the various sets, the sets that have been collecting dues, and all of a sudden you're saying pay one due and pay it at national level. So this has dragged on, the debate has been there. But I think I'm glad to say that after different deliberations and suggestions at the last AGM that we held on the 12th of October, the House has agreed that membership dues should be paid. We recognize that membership dues should be paid because the association needs to be funded. It needs to be funded so that activities can be carried out. We have welfare issues. We have projects we want to undertake in the school. And we want to help one another. And to do that, money is needed. But it's, for me as the president, it's not just the amount. It's that when we pay membership dues, we show some kind of commitment to the association. And so we agreed that we will pay 6,000 naira. We will not pay it at the national level, we will pay it at the chapter level. And why we said that is because everybody needs to kind of link up with their chapters. If you're in Abuja, pay your chapter dues to your chapter. At the end of the day, between the national body and the chapters, we will agree what should come to the national body. But I think first of all, people must identify that they have a chapter. People must know that they need to pay the dues to that particular chapter. When the chapter collates the dues, the chapter will then be able to say, this is how much we've been able to obtain for this period of time, and the chapter will then begin to think of activities to carry out for the benefit of members of the association. When people don't pay dues, it simply means they're not showing commitment. It simply means that people are just saying, do what you want to do, we really don't care. But when everybody starts paying dues, if I put my money down, I want to know what my money is going to be used for. I think at that stage, we'll be at a new level in this association.
Thank you very much. So if that is the case, how has the association been operating all this time without dues, since the association has existed for several years and there have been lots of activities, including the AGM? So how has that been possible?
Let me make it very simple. It's come out of personal pockets. It's a lot of members of the national body have been able to dip hands into their personal pockets and bring out money to fund certain things. But I think, let me use this opportunity to thank a lot of people that I call valuable sponsors of this association. We've not gone out of our association to ask for money from anybody. That's a fact that everybody should know. We've not gone to anybody, we've not gone to any organization to ask for money. We've only gone to our members. And so there are people who will know that are ready and committed to the association and say, look, if you need money, just let us know. And we've gone to those people and said, look, we want to run an AGM. For example, the AGM is going to cost us 2 million. There are people that have given us 100,000. There are people that have given us 500,000 naira. There's someone that has given us 1 million naira and said, this is my support and my commitment to the association. That's how we were able to run an AGM successfully. And that's how we've been running. Just asking our members for help as and when we need it. But we're saying we also want to avoid what we call giving fatigue. We don't want to keep going to the same people again and asking for money. I don't need one man to give me 1 million. I need a lot of people in the association to put money down so that we can all own the association and not one person to own the association.
This donor fatigue is a very serious problem, as we've seen. But before we change from that topic and hear from the Abuja chapter regarding the same issue of funding, I'd like you to tell the House emphatically, to be clear, for avoidance of doubt. Thus far, the national body has not been in the process of collecting dues, and there has been no organized financing. There's no government agency that gave a stipend. There's no fund that came from one, apart from individual donations. Is that correct?
That's very correct. Well, so let's just recap a bit. There was a time, and so one of the problems we had when we had conflict, there was a time the national body said, let's collect membership dues. And then we announced membership dues that it should be paid at a national level. The membership dues were then collected in various sets. What we saw was that 80% of the 6,000 naira that came in from people who are not attached to any set, any chapter. These are people that are kwalites, who just stood up on social media and said, oh, my association is very active. I want to give to my association. And now there were people in America, there were people in London that gave. And so I think we realized about 300 and something thousand naira, which when we then had the chapters cry out and say, no, the dues should be paid to the chapters, we then said, okay, that money still remains in NEC account till now. It's still in the account. Where we've said, when the chapters now agree that, okay, we should collect dues, that money will then be divided through those chapters. If anybody has paid and we can attach them to a chapter, we will attach them to a chapter. So that money was collected, still remains in the account. Apart from that period, NEC has not collected any dues at any other point in time. NEC has not collected any money from any organization at any point in time. We've not gone out of FGC Kwali alumni to collect any money. And no organization has given us any money to support us in the alumni.
Lastly, on this point, we heard that there was an audited account process done sometime in 2018, I think, that assessed all the records and concluded that these facts, as you've declared, are indeed what's
yes,
there.
the account was produced at the last AGM.
Yes,
an audited account
was produced. So anybody who wants to inquire further can just refer to the accounts which are available from the Secretariat.
Can be emailed to any member
to assess for themselves. Thank you. Please, I'd like to ask Niall, the Secretary General Abuja Chapter, to react to what the President has said. What can you add?
Well,
observation.
I mean, from my observation, I'm a practical person, and I look at things in practice outside theory. And looking at this to say, like, we've debated on this over 3 years, I can tell you authoritatively my own opinion.
Yes.
We will still come back to this same topic at some point.
Yes.
Because at the chapter level, the chapter has its own challenges. When you organize programs, people don't show up. You don't have buy-in. Now, the danger of going to people to fund is people can hijack the association by who they like, who they want.
Correct.
Yes.
If, for example, like, say we're 5 people who finance this, I will know that it's 5 people that finance the association.
Yeah.
And we don't have a way to put who we want to be there. We'll stop the association. So the issue of dues is something that we all agree is needed. The problem is, how should we go about it?
Yes.
So people have the school of thought that the chapters are the better place to actually to collect the dues. So people have the school of thought, or share the school of thought rather, that the sets are the most pragmatic way to actually collect this thing. So if National now tax the sets, the National can actually have a budget to say, for this year 2020, we have a budget of 5 million.
Yes.
So that means with what we are going to get from the set, we should have 7 million. 5 million is going into the budget. 2 million is going to go into savings. So we have surplus. The next person coming in can grow on that. Now what happens now with this is when you say the chapter should go and collect. We've seen cases where a chapter chairman might be very vibrant. The next person who replaces him might not be vibrant. The person who comes in might be loved by people, and he will have people buy into his ideas. You now have the issue of integrity, where people feel that the chapter person has, by mischief makers, who will always tell you that this person has touched our money because he's bought a new car. Yes. That before he became the chairman, he did not have this car. Now he's not the chairman and he's owned this car. So those are the things that we need to really sit down and tell ourselves that this. By the end of the day, it's an AGM. People have decided what they want. So we have to be guided by what they want. But I feel it's important for people to understand the intricacies of these things. To say what is sustainable. So it doesn't become a situation of the president, who has done a fantastic job, has created this avenue of like enthusiasts. People are enthusiastic about the alumni right now, and after he finishes his tenure, it just goes down. And 5 years down the line, we're back to where we are now. So I feel at the end of the day, people need to understand, as I said, they've decided to say we're going to pay an amount of money. The commitment is what we need to say. How do we pay this money, and how do we hold our chairpersons accountable for this money? Chairperson saying, okay, how do we sit down with the national to say what is the sharing formula, so that it doesn't be a situation whereby the chapter gets active, the national dies. Yes. So there has to be that synergy. For example, talking about like what will the money be used for. We've been to the school a couple of times. The school have made it clear to us their needs, and it's unfortunate to see that people in different sets go to school to give them what they feel the school needs. It's sad if I'm hungry and I'm telling you that the doctor said I should eat rice, and you bring yam to me and say you must eat yam, that's what I have to give you.
Yes.
And you spend more money giving me yam than the rice they actually need. So I think that people in alumni need to understand. We have to have that discourse, even beyond now. Discussion have to go within the sets at the chapter level to reorientate people's minds. So that beyond the now, because this will not happen at the snap of a finger.
Yes.
But Naya, I think just to help you out here, we've taken practical steps where NEC is going to champion the cost of membership dues. So even though we've agreed at the AGM that membership dues will start, NEC is not just going to sit back and say chapters go ahead and collect membership dues. We're going to drive it. We're going to let members see the importance. So a lot of information will go out for people to know. First of all, find your chapter. If you live in Enugu, there's no chapter. Your nearest chapter is Port Harcourt. Link with Port Harcourt chapter, pay your dues to Port Harcourt chapter. You live in Akure, your nearest chapter is Lagos. Pay your dues to Lagos chapter, Lagos will register you. But more practically, what we're doing is we're still using the sets. In every chapter president knows that they must identify set reps in their chapter. So you have Abuja chapter. You have to know who is the set person, who is the person that this is not the national body set rep now that governs the whole set. This is that in Abuja, there must be one person in a particular set that is able to push that set together. All the chapter president needs to do is to connect with that particular set rep in that chapter, get that set rep to pay the dues to the set rep. To be honest, you can only get it sorted within the sets. The sets are powerful in the sense that we know each other. We can trust each other. It's easier for me to know why I'm paying the dues to Naya. Naya then has a record of it. Naya says my whole set paid 100 and something thousand, takes it to the chapter in one bulk. So what the chapter president should do is not to be chasing every individual member in Abuja chapter. He only needs to chase every set member. How many sets do we have? You have 36 sets presently now. You only need to chase 36 people and make sure that within their sets they're able to collect their membership dues and bring it to the chapter. When we do it that way, it will work out.
But this sounds brilliant, but this to me shows the need for a certain kind of a structure, because there are a lot of cases that will end up slipping through the cracks. Some people are in the same town with their set members or chapter members and they don't even know that they have a chapter. In such situations, it will eventually come to NEC's attention that there are these cases, and how would you suggest NEC help integrate?
There are people, and let's not kid ourselves. There are people in this association that will not identify with their set
or chapter.
Let me start with the set before you even get the chapter. I'm even saying that they don't identify with their set. I belong to K90. I know a lot of people in Abuja that did not turn up for the AGM. I know a lot of people that talk on the set rep forum and still will not show up in a gathering. I know some people that do not even want to be members of that particular WhatsApp forum or any group, but they will show up for a gathering. Everyone has their ideas, and you cannot force anyone to say or do anything you want them to do. So there are people in the association who will not identify with a set, who will not identify with a chapter, but they will identify with the national body. The only reason why they are doing that is to say, once a Kwalite, always a Kwalite. So when they see anything, this is why I said to you that when we started the membership dues drive, 80% of these people, when I asked them, why are you paying your dues to national so easily, and you've never identified with your set, you've never identified with your chapter before, they said, well, we have a national body. We want to be part of the association. We want to belong. Now, I think going forward, we will still identify those people, and that's the only way we can bring out people. When those people come and say they want to pay their membership dues, and they're not able to identify their chapters, or they don't want to be part of the chapter, we still collect the dues from them. It can still be collected at a national level. You don't need to go into the intricacies and start saying to them, I must force you into Lagos chapter. No. They're Kwalites. So even if they pay to national body must account for it. The national body knows that if you live in Birmingham, in the United Kingdom, you're a member of the London chapter, whether you like it or not. That you choose not to pay your dues to the London chapter, we still identify you as a Kwali. You have paid your dues, we will still fit it into the London chapter because that is where we have identified you. So we're just saying, whoever you are, wherever you are, as long as you recognize you're a Kwali, if you want to pay to the chapter, which should be the first place you should pay to pay. If you want to pay to national does not collect the money and say it is national money. National collects the money and say, where is this person's chapter, and still identify it, and at some point transfer it to the chapter so that they can account for the whole money.
And we will refer to this again later in the discussion regarding the tools we have in place to simplify this coordination with our website and database. But before we leave this topic, Fati, please, as an accountant here, and being very experienced with organizations and these challenges, what can you advise and observe about this whole issue?
To simplify the whole issue, I think if we're able to have a system, all we need is just the system which we've already put in place. All we need is to implement it with time. All those people we complain of, or all those people that don't want to identify with either chapter or set, will come on their own. Just like I was having a talk with my colleague Mel. When we had our 10th year anniversary, a lot of us were shy to even come and say, okay, I'm an ex-Kwali. Some of them feel left out. Some of them feel they've not reached or achieved anything in life. So they feel shy to actually just come and mingle with us. But we're able to tell them, look, it's not all about that. There's a reason we're a family. We all went to Kwali and we still want to be together. So it's not all about where you are now. If you actually have a problem, you can actually come to one of us or anybody you feel safe with. If you're not, I believe that the person you should be safe with is your set member. Yes. But with time, at the end of the day, after our 10th year anniversary, a lot of them came out and there was love. We could actually talk to ourselves. So what I'm trying to say in essence is this: once we have this system running, yes, I believe that the number of people we will see will be surprised. So the issue of dues and everything will go smoothly. We're only having this issue now because we are new and the information is still at a very low level. By the time it goes out and there's a very, very good system at place, we don't have a problem.
Oh, very interesting. No, since we're on this topic, at the AGM, we talked about the FEDGOKOSA website. Just to bring everyone up to speed, we already have a website. What we were referring to there was an enhancement to the website. We called it the database. Just think about it. We've had, as President said, 35 sets or so. Most of us, 36 sets. Okay, fine. That's over 10,000 people. Where are these people? Who are these people? We keep hearing of stories of people running into Kwalites by chance in organizations here and there. Say, oh, you went to this school, you went to this school. The point is we need to know each other. We need to collaborate, we need to coordinate. Now, the fact that we are all in different countries and cities and all that shows that we cannot expect everyone to be in the same place at the same time at any time. So what we've been trying to do is upgrade the website to handle as many of these administrative functions as possible. Just building on what we said right now, we talk about paying dues and members being brought into the fold. So how do we know who the members are? It sounds easy to just go and say, okay, just go to the website, write your name and then submit. But a lot of people who are not Kwalites have gone on, for instance, our Facebook platform. We didn't know we were this popular and tried to register as Kwalites. Somehow, the point is that at this distance, you can't verify the identities of people very easily. Yes. And you therefore need some kind of process that has a measure of human authentication. So what we're working on is a system that allows people to fill in a form, tell us who you are and who you know from Kwali, and give a little bit of time while we process it. At the point in time, we'll contact your set rep to validate this person's identity. So that process itself might take a little bit of time, but it's worth it overall, because once we finish this database, we have your permanent record. For all intents and purposes, you have a voice. Beyond this issue of collecting, okay, let's put it this way, when people pay dues, if you want to be able to say, okay, they said that 10,000 people paid dues, or 5,000 people paid dues, where are the records and all whatnot? We're not saying we're publishing people's individual names. We're saying that when you have that, your login credential, you have the right to go within our documentations and look for what information you might find necessary. Beyond that, when you're trying to gauge what the association needs and how it has been performing, it's easy to sit at a distance and say, this is 10 million, this is 2 million. But when you go through the details of the audit, you'll be able to tell how much impact and what else is left to be done. As we have said here, some people will look at the need and say, are you people saying it's just 1 million naira that is preventing you from sinking this borehole? Okay, if that's the case, others have we are bringing this balance. So that is now, the website database is an all-purpose tool That's supposed to facilitate an easy administration of the system and thereby maximize our effectiveness as a group. We'll go to another point that's very important to the website. We call it opinion polling. We may sit here now, and we have 300 people sitting here now representing Kwalites, but as we just heard now, some people are not even involved, even in their WhatsApp groups and the rest. Now, when you want to take a decision that's going to affect so many people in a binding way, at least you should hear from the public. So we have a feature that which is the opinion polling, where people go and just give their opinion. Are you for this? Are you against this? Why? And then we can collate that so that when we're discussing at the executive level, we can say, look, our members, 2,000 of them have said they are for A, 3,000 have said they are not for A. I think this has a meaning. Why we talk about this now is because we're going to have a membership drive. We call it a drive. What does that mean? Once you attended FGC Kwali, you're automatically a member, full stop. But we now need to verify or validate the members. And we have to remind people to just go through that simple step of go and fill in a form, be a little bit patient, it just takes 5 minutes. It will be emailed to you, and from there, we can authenticate you within a few days. And from that moment till kingdom come, you are a registered member. This is very important for integrity and all whatnot, and also for communication, because another big part of the website is what we call professional networking. As we said right now, we have, I think, a wide spread of professions on this table, and we have seen that this, in fact, this comes back to you now when it comes to the issue of welfare. How do we help ourselves? I think FEDGOKOSA has 3 things they say they stand for: giving back to the school, giving back to ourselves, giving back to society. In the giving back to ourselves part, we have this issue of, let's say, support or welfare. Let's be clear, welfare doesn't mean charity alone. Welfare means you're a civil engineer, I'm an architect, I didn't know you were in this town with me. We know ourselves from Kwali, or we know we may gain from each other. The professional networking thing is a massive thing that we keep discovering, just remains to be formalized. At every AGM, we keep hearing of people meeting, exchanging, not even AGM, every meeting. We meet, exchange contacts and all that, and then we later go and do 1 or 2 businesses, and it's still part of the fruit of being in Kwali. Having said this, I'd like to come to another side of the welfare, which is what we've been doing or trying to do with the students while they are in school. We had a few mentorship programs, if I remember correctly, and I think my sister Fatima here and Grace were able to mentor, guide a few of these younger ones in school. So Grace, please tell us what that was all about.
Okay, so literally mentorship program is just to like encourage the younger ones that are coming up and then like prepare their mind. The thing is, while we were in school, nobody actually prepared our mind for the wider world. They just give you the whole theory setting, go to school, get grades, graduate, get a job. They don't tell you there's no job in Nigeria. They also don't tell you that money is hard. They also don't tell you that adults come with so much responsibility. Because while growing up, I had the mentality that school and my parents were the only thing holding me. Then once I become an adult, bam, have blown. So it's crazy when you have this mindset and then you come out to the world and then you meet a whole different thing. So the idea of the mentorship program is to actually inculcate in this student the mindset that this adulthood they are looking forward to, it is not as easy as you think it is.
Yeah.
It is practically putting their mind to real life experiences, what they will face when they come out from school, what they will expect when they come out, and at the same time putting them in the right position that when I come out from school, I already have this in my mind. So I should actually have the mindset of doing this thing to actually come out better than the people who were in the past. Now, taking advantage of social media. When I was growing up, when I'm pressing phone, my mother keeps saying, this phone you're pressing, it will not give you anything. It will never make you pass. It will not give you money. But now, I earn more from social media than I even earn from the work I do.
Yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So the mentorship program is to tell the student that this little skill or this little passion or this little thing you do, why don't you convert it to something skillful? So at the end of the day, as you're leaving school, you can make money out of it. I have a 15-year-old who just finished secondary school and he uses his Instagram to sell fabrics. 15 years old. I also have a student that I teach. She's 8 years old. She draws, like she loves to draw. And then her art was actually exhibited yesterday at Abuja Pavilion for an 8 years old. So imagine if the older generation had this mindset or had people who actually mentored them and prepare their mind that, oh, this thing can actually be useful when you grow. Nigeria would have been a better place right now. So
would have blown by now.
So since we did not have that advantage and that privilege, that is why we're giving it back to them. Let's put them in the line that, yes, education is good, but at the same time, you need to have a backup plan just in case education doesn't work.
I think you referred to a very big and important aspect of mentorship. As I recall, Salimata, you were also at the mentorship program, and in addition to what she's referring to, which is the professional guidance, there are other aspects of mentorship. I know you're a mother, you have children, and you were also there passing. So what can you say were the other dividends from having the mentorship program, and what can you add to what she said?
Just like she has said a lot of things, but I can remember vividly well that I told them in national orientation, we used to go from schools to schools.
So in national orientation, you mean what?
National orientation.
In your office?
Yes, from my office.
All right.
I specifically told them that there are some rules in life that you must have. They will checkmate you and guide you through life. I told them about hard work, dignity of labor. You must be a patriotic citizen. It's there, their core values. All those things will serve as guide to you. And then I also told them that whatever they're going to do in life, they must be passionate about it.
Because so, may I just interrupt? Could you please describe what this event was like? Because those who didn't attend will not know in context what happened there. So just before you go further, what was the mentorship event like? Who came, who didn't come? What was it all about?
A lot of ex-Kwalites came there, and with people from different professions. And everybody was able to shed light into their professions, and then how they can guide the students through their career path. It was a laudable event, and I would love if we keep doing that from time to time to checkmate them and to always guide them onto the right path. But above all, I told them to put God first in all they do.
That's right.
I like that a lot, and I'm sure from the way you raise your home, I know that you passed it across. Kamal, what would you say about this mentorship thing? How much do they need it, and how much should we as the ex-students be involved?
I actually feel like it's a very, very good and laudable initiative, given the fact that a lot of kids want to hear from someone who have been in similar position as them. And coming from an ex-student, everything they need to know, it's actually very encouraging. When they know you wore the same check shirt as them, they knew you sat on same seats as them and attended same classes as them. And there was nothing actually foreign that they are facing actually now that you haven't faced, and you're at a particular stage in your life now. It's actually very motivating and encouraging to anyone. So it's actually key to liberating the younger generations to think towards positivity and towards the career path they choose to go in the future.
And then besides that one, what about on the moral angle or social angle?
Actually, it's also very, very, very key to a lot of students to know the moral implications of the things they do and how it could affect them, the consequences later in the future. Because given from experience, talking to a whole lot of young people, because that's one thing I enjoy doing. Before going into the profession I am now, I used to volunteer for Generations for Societal Change. Generations for Societal Change actually buttresses the fact, it buttresses the need to do the right things at the right time, and then it actually try to inculcate the core values of a Nigerian citizen into kids. And speaking to them and mentoring them based on what I know actually, and telling them from experience the things I did that weren't right and how it was able to build me up or actually affect me negatively, and how I was able to build myself to the level I am based on how I was able to abide to the things I felt were right and the things I was told were right, had actually helped a great deal in making me a man I am today. So coming from ex-students, I would also say it would actually encourage them a great deal.
So Fati, I know that you were also part of the program, and that apparently you went quite far with it, because those of us who initiated it, we initiated at the neck level, we hoped that some people would run with the ball. And it turns out that some people ran even further than the football field with the ball. So please give us a glimpse of what I'm trying to get here is for the House to appreciate that these initiatives that come from NEC, they may have some impact and they can be augmented greatly by people just tuning into. You keyed into it, what has happened?
Okay, on a general note, I want to start by saying that I don't know for other secondary schools, but the Kwali that we all went to, if there was one thing that we learned was good moral behavior. And that's the reason why we're here today. Because if we had all gone our ways with our wayward behaviors and all those little things we see or saw others doing, we wouldn't have been here today. And I remember saying that I am who I am today because I went to Kwali. I have other siblings that did not go to Kwali, but I had to do extra work on them because they were not opportune to go through what I went through. And I went extra mile to say that, of course, as it is in Nigeria now, I would say that Nigeria is like survival of the fittest. Yes, and even for the fact that I am a chartered accountant, I have been out of school since 2011, and I have applied 1 million times, you know, but it didn't draw me back. Why? Because we were taught right from school that we should always struggle, hard work, as she rightfully said, and that's exactly what I did. Them seeing me now think that I have a high position in the government or somewhere, you know, when they just see you come and you just...
That's what I think now.
and that's not what it is. I have done a lot of businesses to get me to where I am today. Today, I would probably say I am a carpenter. I wouldn't call myself an interior designer, because when I say I'm an interior designer, they see it as you have to, yes, you have to go abroad, to go to a serious, no. I don't know how to hold a nail. I only have passion for what I see. And then I said, okay, how, what do I need to start this up? And I started, even in my house. My father would be like, Fati, where do you go to every day? You're coming back by this time of the day. This. I said, Daddy, this is Abuja. It's not Bauchi. Before I drive from the house and, you know, but I kept moving. I kept going until I got to where I am today. That's exactly what I told them. And it gave them a lot of hope, because after that show, they kept calling me.
By sure, you mean after the mentorship program where we went to?
Yes, after the mentorship, they kept calling me. In fact, I have some of them lined up now that I need to meet one-on-one to discuss with them, to tell them, even academic-wise, what you need to do to get to a specific profession. Some of them don't know. I can remember during our time, we usually have this brochure that guides you. Yes. Then later on, they change it to the disc. A lot of them don't even slot it in to see what it is. They just apply and say, okay, I want to be this, I want to be that. But they don't even know when they go for post-UME, then they start telling them, you don't have the right combinations, you don't do this, you don't do that. And they are broken. Their career is shattered from there.
I see.
Know? Yes.
Well, what I can say here is this is I'm happy to hear what I've heard now, because when we at the NEC level initiated this idea, which was last 2018, many people didn't know what we were aiming to achieve. But just for those who were not there, we thought about this and said, how best can we give to people? Now, education brought us together as Kwalites. There's formal and informal education. Career counseling and such thing, mentorship is informal, or the informal aspect of education. But as we've seen, it's very important. So we pushed ahead with it. We invited panelists, people who would ordinarily be very difficult to see, bank managers, senior military men, they all gathered that day, and they all gave their own bit. And as Fatih is saying, they followed. In fact, that day we did this, what we call mentorship clusters, where we are allocated by your discipline groups who are interested in that field. And apparently it's stuck. So what we want to do at the NEC level is to promote this. In fact, the school took a cue from this initiative and repeated their own version of a career day earlier this year, but we want to even augment it more, and that's where Kamal and his mates come in, because what we want to do is upgrade our program so that the mentorship programs themselves will not be ad hoc, they'll be timed. We would have speakers coming in with a preset schedule. People would collate questions they may have for the speaker so that it's expedient on the day and so on. So what I want to ask Kamal here is that, what do you think, first of all, what is the attitude of your mates to this kind of subject? And secondly, for those sets around your own generation, 2 or 3 sets above, 2 or 3 sets below, what do you think they feel about this sort of doctrine, and how do you think we can maximize their own impact in such things?
Sure. I feel like they actually, from feedbacks I got, they actually accepted it wholeheartedly, for they knew what they were lacking while they were still in school, and they see it as a perfect opportunity to give these younger ones who are still at school and don't know a whole lot as we actually knew while we were still back in school. So they are willing to offer their support a great deal towards making this even more,
helping it grow.
Yeah, help it grow to be more successful. And I must commend the initiative, because this one I really like. And I'd also like to encourage that certain structures or ways are put in place to make it even sustainable. Because without this, you can't tell how much, I can't even overemphasize how much gap the young kids now in school and have between they and the society out there. They actually don't know a whole lot of things. And coming from people who have been in same position as them, knowing what it actually is out there and coming to disseminate this information to them, it's actually a great deal. So I must commend the effort.
Thank you very much. And before we round up on this, now please, can you use a minute to tell us how Abuja Chapter can play a role in this issue?
Well, to be honest, we're actually like planning something.
Okay.
I actually have an entrepreneurship program we intend rolling out before the year runs out, where we want to like give grants to like ideas we feel are good. So look at businesses that exist and people with ideas, and like run like a Dragon's Den type of a competition and actually like give grants. So it's still in the works.
I hope I can apply for the grant.
Yeah, for sure. You can apply, but you pay registration fee. Yes.
I just want to be a judge.
We'll look at what there'll be like a panel that'll look at like the business plan, the ideas. So we like do like a day seminar to tell people what is needed for a business plan, and after that we'll look at what you've done, and then we'll decide people who have like one based on how much we're able to like gather from the sponsors.
Nice. I think that's nice. Lastly, before we finish this segment, I'll just add that there are ways to tie these things together. Because what you described now is primarily for entrepreneurs or prospective business owners, entrepreneurs. What we discussed earlier was for children coming into adulthood. And there are ways to stimulate the growth of both and marry them. We also did another thing, we called it the FEDGOKOSA Character Merit Awards. There's a special class of awards we did during the last speech and prize ceremony where, you know, the typical thing is, oh, you came first in math, you came second in English, you came, But we also recognize that our bonds today don't come from your grades alone. It comes from the kind of people you were. So we wanted to recognize those people who understand other values, called social intelligence. So we said, okay, who was the best advisor? Who were the closest tag team, friends, inseparable friends? Who were the best team players? Who are the best innovators? Who are the best problem solvers? All those things that are not, you know, are not appreciated so much. And we recognized them, we conducted a survey, and we gave them prizes as well. So this is going to underscore the notion of the all-round development that we believe is central to this thing, which underscores everything we've said here. So with these issues covered here, we're going to take a short break, and we will also have another one of our colleagues who is present in the studio to address a few other issues after the break. Good evening. Thank you, my people. We're back from our break, and we're about to continue the second session, or second part of our forum. This is Kwali, the Kwali Roundtable, Kwali Talks. So I'm here with my fellow panelists, all of us ex-Kwali students, and we have one of our colleagues who just came in. He's one of my favorite, because he actually participates in a lot more Kwali events than most of us do, because he sometimes is our MC. So please, let's know who you are.
My name is Daniel Nwagboso. Daniel Sucre, communication strategist and broadcaster with 95.1 Nigeria Info FM.
Your set and house.
Okay, 2006 with Madam Fodio House.
The Fodio boys were very notorious from what we heard. Is that true?
No, not really. The Fodio boys were quite good. I mean, my set produced the head boy.
Okay.
And And also, I mean, by God's grace, my set also produced one of the best press club members and debaters, you know, down for your house.
Okay. Well, we accept you.
As you think.
As you think. Or for those he mess, yes. But I tend to trust Daniel because they're quite good in their set. So Daniel, welcome. Now, you've been an OAP, you know all about public enlightenment, social orientation and things like that. You're a communications expert. So we'd like to understand what has been your impression of your sets of the activities that have been conducted by the Leadership Association in the school. How have they seen the performance of the NEC? What has stood out to them, and what are the lingering gray areas they'd like to know more about?
Okay, well, at inception, it wasn't accepted. Not that the interest wasn't shown by a few members of my side at inception, but the thing is, consistency is just key. And so when they saw that a few of us, myself, Aaron, Timothy, every of us would just keep it up on the group and say, okay, guys, see pictures, these guys were here, there, this is going on. And then gradually interest began to, you know, build. And so we saw that also in the number of my segment that attended the AGM. I mean, I didn't expect them, because even in the Abuja house, that number of my sets would not attend, you know. But at the AGM, I mean, I was in a table filled with my set guys, and I understood that yes, there's some level of improvement. So looking at activities of the NEC, yes, they are happy with it. They are ready to, you know, work and see that more is done. I used to be a set rep for about 2 years until I had to, you know, had more things to do, and so Moriki had to come in and be the set rep. But the thing is, it's a lot more improved now because they are asking questions. They want to know what's going on, and also. Only last year, was it last year or this year? I was part of a team that went to the school to, you know, do a symposium or something. I was with you,
yes,
with that team, and the pictures were sent to them. And also, a few prefects from my set visited the school again just recently, where they went to dining hall, ate with the students, you know, and so it shows that the set is interested. You get, apart from, you know, what they want to do individually, they want to know what the NEC is doing. They want to be part of it. They want to know, okay, if dues are being paid, this is what it's going to be doing, or what the dues are going to be used for. Also, they understand that after you mentioned the project Kwali 20 at the AGM, yes. I mean, it's a conversation that we've had, and in fact on our group platform it's quite engaging. 06 group platform is engaging. People's weddings are being put up. People, you know, we're having conversations, and it's because it is, when we're having conversations, you can quickly bring in the Kwali matter.
Yes.
If the group is dull. Yeah. I mean, from nowhere you just talk Kwali. Nobody wants it. But sure. When there's a wedding, everybody is talking about it. When some, I'm saying, I mean, those that are about to wed this year and first quarter of next year, be sending your invite, give us dates, let's plan. And in that instance, you not put up, okay, guys, there's something that the house is doing, there's something Abuja is doing, or there's something that NEC is doing. You see that it drives conversation, and yeah, you know, bring their heads to it.
That sounds just really wonderful. What is? I think one of you people had a question or so about one or two of the projects.
Yes, they actually spoke about. I mean, I think they are aware of the sports project that went on, and some of the things that also went on as regards some of the welfare things that NEC is doing.
Okay.
You know, but you know, some of those things, like for us now, most times I get info from probably your page or the national president's page, and I just put it up there. You know, most times when I'm not really part of what is going on, I just get information and just put it up there. So it would be a lot more better if they get detailed information from source to understand what happened and probably what is.
So I got this question from the House, and the question here, and from his members about this sports project that some people heard about it. It wanted to come, it didn't come. They didn't do. But anyway, we'd like to certain things happened, and I think the president can tell us. Please, what exactly was his first project? What happened? What didn't happen? Let's know.
No, the sports project was it was one of the initiatives that we decided at the AGM in Port Harcourt. So in Port Harcourt, we said that the alumni needs to take one major project instead of taking a lot of projects.
Which year was this, sir?
I think the AGM in Port Harcourt was 2017.
17. Okay.
Yes, because AGM in Kaduna was 2018, and then the AGM now is in Abuja 2019. And so we agreed. And so we then called a set reps meeting. All the set reps were invited to Abuja. We had a meeting where we said to all the set reps, look, we've estimated the cost of the sports project. This is how much it will cost us. And every set needs to go and raise this amount of money and bring the amount of money so that we'll do the sports project together as one body. But the typical issue that comes up is, who will initiate the project? Who are we giving the contract to? Who are the people that will work on it? The usual thing where people felt that if somebody was going to do the project, maybe somebody was going to make money out of it. And some people also, we also had the accountability issue. Again, it's a young association. We've never raised big, large amounts, and everyone was a bit concerned. Why would we want to raise this large amount? Apart from that, sets have been used to doing things their own way. And all of a sudden, we're saying to them as NEC, and I still stand on that point, if 3-4 sets, and the principal doesn't like it, no, the principals that have existed don't like it, sets walk into the school, they'll promise the principal something, they go back and they're still thinking about it for the next 6 months. Another set walks into the school without talking to another set or talking to NEC, want to do the same project, and we promise the principal. You then find one individual will come and do that project. Meanwhile, a set has been working on that thing for the last 6 months or so. Of course, they'll be discouraged when you now go to the school to do it and you find that somebody else has done it or another set will do it. And so we explain to them that, look, don't worry about other projects. For now, the biggest problem is sport. But because of the accountability issue, who are we giving this money, who will do this, who will do that, that became an issue. And again, I think this is what really affected us again at national level. We had a timeline for handling that project. We said within this period this will be done. We didn't think it would take too long. The fact that people were still talking about it, the fact that people were still discussing how we're going to get the money, how we're going to do this, who will do this, we at some point NEC had to put our foot down and say, you see, enough is enough. Let's look for individuals that, again, from FGC Kwali, who are ready to do the project. So of course that means we had to downsize. That means when we had a project that was going to cost us 10 million, we had to bring it all the way down. I think at the end of the day, it cost us about 4.5 million. Now, I'll tell you, the 4.5 million was raised by 6 people in this alumni. Only 6 people came and said, don't worry, whilst they're still talking, let us do what we can do. And so we had to do the badminton court, we had to do the basketball court, we had to do the tennis court to get all that done, just to lay a foundation. It's been over a year or more now. We even need to go back again and renovate it because it wasn't done at the 10 million standard. But it was done at the standard at least so that some form of sports can then be done. So that's why I think it failed. I think it failed because we were still talking. And this is why I keep emphasizing that in this association we need to learn how to stop talking. Sometimes we talk too much. We've said that this project issue is simple. Every set needs to say, look, NEC, give us a list of the projects which we have. We have a list of all the projects that need to be undertaken in the school. Every set needs to have that list. And every set needs to say, out of this project, we can do this. And then tell us at the national level. The national level will then say, either you can do it, or another set is already handling this. And then that set can go, once we've given directions and we've approved and said, go ahead and do it. That set should go themselves. Get all your contractors yourself. You want to award the projects to yourself? Award the projects to yourself. NEC doesn't need any money. NEC is saying, go there, once you've said you want to put street lights. Go to the school, put your street lights, get it done, and at the end of the day, come and tell us it's been done. All we want to see is that work has been done. We're not interested in the discussion regarding that work.
So before we go a bit further on this project, because there's a lot to refer, this initiative, sorry, could you just in a nutshell, it may sound like we're repeating it, but in a nutshell, what is it that makes it difficult to execute something that was already accepted by the House in the Port Harcourt AGM? Fundamentally, what is the systemic weakness that is a recurring decimal?
Well, there's the weakness and there's now the future. The weakness we had was that a lot of people don't come to AGM. So they don't attend the annual general meeting. So everybody sits down and decides how they think the association should be run. The purpose of an AGM is that regardless of our individual differences or chapter differences or set differences, let's come together as a body. I've always said I don't need to see 10,000 people at an AGM. but I need to see key people at an AGM. I need to see all the set reps at an AGM. I need to see chapter executives at an AGM. Why? Because they're the voice of the people. They should have discussed all of that. That's why we put out an agenda before an AGM to say this is what we're discussing. We have membership dues. Discuss it with your chapter first. Discuss it with your set first. When you come to the AGM, tell us what you have decided. Now, at the AGM, a lot of opinions change, because not only what you hear from the leaders, not only what you hear from the podium, but also what you discuss amongst the people that are sitting around you. Your interaction then makes you begin, and you would have noticed, if you have come for the AGM, you will notice some people shift their positions from what they thought initially before coming for the AGM. At the AGM, the House decides. The House is saying, okay, we no longer want to take this position. This is the position we want to take. When there's a conflict, we take a vote. When we take a vote and we decide on something, what we're now saying is we should go back home and then we should do what we have decided at an AGM. The problem has been that a lot of the people that make noise in this association do not attend AGM. Apart from that, after an AGM, when minutes are published of what took place at the AGM, they don't read the minutes. When we now announce something, there's some people that will still fight us and still say that's not what the association should do. You were not at the AGM. You were not part of the decision makers. You had representatives who were there. So we agreed membership dues at this last AGM. When we announced membership dues, and it will no longer shock me, that some people will still come and still say, why did we agree membership dues? When did we start paying membership? Was your chapter president not there? Was your chapter secretary not there? Were your set reps not there? Why are you talking to me at a national level? My job is to do what the people want me to do. So if I'm Boris Johnson and you've asked me to do Brexit, allow me to do Brexit, for goodness sake. Stop telling me that we should go back and decide on a referendum. We don't have the time for that now. We need to do it and get out of it. I'm just giving that as an example. And that's why I said there's the future. Yeah. The future now that we have decided is that we went to an AGM. We made a decision at the AGM. We announced the decision of the House at an AGM. Anybody that has an individual difference or thought about it, speak to your set reps, speak to your chapter officials and things like that. Don't worry about it. If you have any objection, leave it to the next AGM. Let us first go ahead and do what we were told to do at the last AGM.
Now, got to the contribution.
Okay, just like what the President has said, for me, I feel part of the weakness is this. When the national does not have the finance to run a project they want to do, things like this were about to happen.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it's a weakness.
Yes.
And because most times the secretaries are not as powerful as influential as people think they are. That's the reality.
Yes.
So what happens is, like I tell people, if you have constituted authority where people have voted, you allow them make their mistakes and hold them accountable for the mistake they've made.
That's correct.
Allow their successes speak for them. It's okay. You've been accountable. We put you there to do this. You've done this. You've done this. You can measure their performance. You can measure performance for a person you put in. When he makes a decision, you attack him. He did not consult us. But by you putting the person there, you give him the mandate.
You're very right.
So that's one thing I feel that we need to address.
Yes.
If we don't address that issue,
yes,
and if we don't have the financial power to say, you've elected me, I have done what I felt we agreed at an AGM to do. I have the backing of an AGM to do this. You can be talking, we spend the money. People agreed and they approved it. So those are the weaknesses on one side.
Yes.
On the set level, the set rep can go somewhere to go and say, we've agreed. When he comes back to his set, they will find him. And when he not come again, he'll be like this when you ask him.
Exactly.
You talk because he doesn't have the financial resources to finance, to represent his sets.
Yes.
The people who are the financial members in the set are not agreeing to what he's telling them.
Yes. Yes.
You see, you've represented yourself, you haven't represented us.
Yes.
At last AGM, in Kaduna, you saw what happened when they were voting, when the set vote had to be annulled.
Correct.
Because people actually, some of us pointed it then at the last AGM, that the college voting system will cause issues in the future. And we'll see it.
We know that.
It will cause issues in the future.
Yes.
So, and what happened players in Kaduna, people have learned that next time they'll go and spoil, the people are not saying, we'll go spoil our state votes. People are not saying, we'll go spoil them. Correct. It will not work. So I think at the end of the day, people have to have an open mind. Discussion of that, people have to open their mind to trust the constituted authority, to trust them. and after they've trusted them, can come back and say, we want to hold account by next AGM.
Yes.
The money that you people spent, can you show us proof that it was actually spent, that it was not mismanaged? I think that is the way to go. I think that should be discussed.
But you also have to look at this issue of leadership, because even in the set, you can have a leadership problem where you just said somebody that doesn't have the financial backing, or somebody that may not have the clout. But I always say this, that you have to look at some chapters. I think those of us who attended the AGM, you will see that some chapters said that their chapters are not functioning. But that's because they don't have the right leader there. Now, in some of those chapters they're talking about, the leader has enough financial power to run the chapter, but the leader is not a leader. That's my view. He's not a leader because he can't carry the people. So my recommendation has always been that in every set or in every chapter, you have to identify. This is where we are in this association now. I'm no longer interested in listening to the majority's view if they're not able to make things happen. I'm more interested in the people that, number one, are ready to support, and they can make things happen, and they agree with the vision. If you don't agree with the vision and you're not able to support, it means that even if you agree with the vision, you're not even relevant. So I'm saying in every set rep needs to identify key players in the set, and it's not a money issue. Don't let's look at it as if you need people that have money in the set. You need people that can say things in the set and make things happen.
Yes.
It happens in every set, whether you like it or not. I know the politics in every set. Every set there's some key players that can either they can talk or they can influence.
But let me add to this
Please
situation,
do so.
because there's a lot to say here. One of the current threads running through is that we have insufficient engagement of the members. That's why they keep coming and reinventing the wheel and referring to things that have passed. Second thing is, as you've rightly described, you've got this issue of influence. Somebody may come and say he spoke, they say he didn't represent us. The onus is now on us to find a framework or a system that carries as many of these solutions as possible together. For instance, while I'm in full agreement with what the President has said, which is that the key influential people have to drive the process, but it's also critical to make sure that the rest don't feel drowned out, because it's a double-edged sword. Sure. Somebody will say, is Cyprian and his people who are doing this, we were behind. Sure. So we at the neck level, when it comes to this website yet again, are trying to set it. That's why it's quite a chore. And I want people to appreciate why it's so important, this database website, because everyone has to have a voice, and yet we have to be pragmatic. We have to have situations where, as you said, okay, let's use what you referred to, this, we're going to spoil the next election.
Yes.
I'll refer to this online election issue, but the issue here is that some people would say that, oh, now I went to Kaduna, and he said he's voting for Fati, but we did not agree within this thing that is Fati we're voting for. Why is our voice being drowned out? Okay, we're boycotting. What we want to do is have systems where we say, okay, whether now behaved within 04 set or it didn't behave within 04 set. What 04 set wants, we have a record of it.
Yes.
So if tomorrow we want to say, why is there civil war in 04 set? We can neutrally, non-set members can go over what 04 set has done.
Yes.
Secondly, as you said, accountability. Politicians or leaders can say everything and go away, but if you have the records and the right processes, they can say, no, you people said you needed 8 million to do this. You got 9 million, why was it not done?
Yes.
So it comes down to engagement, and this website thing is a tool for engagement. But let me jump and touch something else quickly before I ask Daniel something. All right, on that, we're going to go into the issue of school project. We at the neck level, seeing all these things you mentioned, like people reinventing the wheel, people duplicating efforts, disconnects and so on. Too many cooks spoil the broth. We had a case here where the President illustrated that just 6 people who were dedicated were able to raise 4 million naira and make 5 million naira and put some things in place. 4.5. We all know that we have about 10,000 members. Even if only 1,000 of them are serious, on quote. 1,000 people who all decide to, in a year, bring 50,000 naira each. That is 50 million naira. You can imagine what can happen with the school, 50 million naira. Now, for those who don't know, it returned to Igbo school. Now, for those who don't know, this year in particular, the NEC took an initiative to explore the problem. We did what we call an infrastructure audit in the school because of this problem, and we took time to analyze at the behest of the SBMC, the School Board Management Committee, the head of which is our dear principal, Alhaji Yawa. Most of us were trained by him. They called us and they told us, look, our brothers, people are not children anymore. this is the school you attended. Most of you have children in schools that are bigger than this school. The school you are in is in the same condition, if not worse, now as it was in 1984, 1989, 1994. I mean, who's going to do it? If you're waiting for federal government to do it, you know your country. What can you people do for us? They now tasked us to focus on 3 areas: electricity, water, and dormitory rehabilitation. So the school formally asked us, the ex-students, to try to support or play a role in helping to upgrade and repair the infrastructure of the school. It's in a poor state, as most of us know, and we can make our own little contribution one way or the other to help everything, move forward. Others have played their role, the government, the PTA, and the school authorities directly, but they still need help. So we have a vision that they've shared with us that they call Kwali 2020, where we can reset it to be a center of excellence in terms of certain aspects of facility and others. So we'll now hear from the principal directly what they need and how we should play a role.
Okay, thank you very much. We have identified 3 areas that we would like the old students to assist the school. One is the area of electricity. Currently, the school is running on genset, which is not good enough after all these years of establishment. The school is just running the genset about 3 hours a day, which is 1, costly, and 2, inadequate. So we would like the old students, using your positions wherever you are now, or using your pocket, I know you have filled your pocket, so to assist the oncoming kwalites. 2 is the water supply. The water supply, currently the boreholes, whatever we have there, can supply only about 56,000 liters of water in a day, whereas going by population we need about 140 or 160,000 liters per day. You can see there is a huge gap. We want you, the engineers among you, the philanthropists there, you use your initiative now and come out in masses to help the school. The third area is the hostels. Some students are still living in those hostels that you know that were constructed in the early days and called temporary hostel. They are still there as hostels, they are still being used as hostels. Well, I'm not saying that you should come and build new ones, but if you can, we'll appreciate it. But even these old ones need to be renovated. In fact, they need to be rehabilitated so to make them good enough for living. So I'm appealing to you to come and assist the school in these 3 areas, so that by 2020, we'll have the problems in this area will have been overcome.
Most of us know what we gain from Kwali. That's why we're active as an owner. Yet we will not send our children there for any reason. That is very sad. The good thing is that after we did our audit, we saw that the upgrades that we could help with were what I would call feasible at our alumni level. Let's give it a figure. Say 50 million naira would be the total. As the president said, we didn't say anybody should take 50 million naira and give to anyone. In fact, if you bring the money, the NEC is going to ask you to hold your money. The NEC is not interested in levying people for that. What the NEC is interested in is coordinating the projects, which have been voluntarily adopted by sets, by chapters, or by individuals. The issue is, let's make Kwali great again. As somebody says, let's make America great again. And how would we do it? Well, we did that first level audit, and we now have an internal committee. We call it the Kwali Project 2020. The vision is that by the end of the year 2020, Kwali would be unrecognizable in the positive sense. And we now have to galvanize ourselves together and use all this goodwill which we've all experienced within our sets to say, look, if your set can handle this borehole here and your set can handle this dormitory here, let's work together. We at the NEC will only coordinate, will inform people, and will relate with the school, because school wants to deal with one entity. But it is sets that would fund, that would execute, that would take the credit for it, and that would even oversee going forward. So it's an issue of galvanizing. We're not levying. However, if someone comes and says, I have some money, I don't know what to do, we will get individuals who want to cooperate as individuals into their own, we'll call them project sponsors.
Yes.
So, okay, you have a bit of money, you've given yourself, you want to do on your own. You and you and you, would you mind please putting a new toilet here? Would you mind please putting solar panels here so that those boys stop jumping fence because there's no light? You know, things like that. So Project Kwali 2020, we have a blueprint of it, we've developed it, we have circulated it, we're going to promote it. What we really want is the engagement. Let people be asking the hard questions, the critical questions, but not idly, not those talkers who don't act. Those who want to act should ask. For instance, a person asked a question and said, look, he doesn't mind contributing, but how do we know it will be properly used? I said, well, that's a good question. We're going to have the best ever auditing system, project tracking, project auditing. It will be transparent, it will be thorough. So it's left for you now to participate or not, but the lack of transparency will no longer be an excuse for someone to say they're not participating. Now, having said that, we'd like everyone to take this home, think about it, and get back to Secretariat. The details on Project Kwali 2020 are published on our Facebook page, as well as on our manual. We have a help desk with a phone number and an email. Either way, by the end of November 2019, the ball is going to roll. Every set will do their part. Election. I have been to as many Kwali meetings as we can have, and there is no election that ever went 100% smoothly.
Yes.
I would like us to encourage ourselves, because this happens at the national level of a country. How much more at our local level? But what I want to say is this. There was an initiative to start doing elections online. What was that all about? We just realized that even on the best day, you might have 400 or 500 people coming up for an AGM, on the very best day, out of maybe 10,000 members. As the President said earlier on, if people don't pay their dues, they are not engaged. I say if people don't follow the issues, they also will not be engaged, because some people can pay the dues and go back to sleep. Now, what we thought then was that, how can we manage to get the public's opinion regarding the voting? And the practicalities of an election are also another issue. In most cases, the ELCOM has to make ad hoc rules. People have to kind of cram all the events, the campaigning time, campaigning forum, the rules are somehow rushed, and understandably so, because as you said, no dues, therefore not much of a structure, therefore solutions, problems keep recurring. What we thought then was say, okay, you know what, let us consider, not necessarily adopt, but let us consider the idea that we have done how many elections now so far in the same format. What if there is a system with which to do voting at a distance? And let's imagine that you have a week to cast in your vote. You have an authenticated system that allows you vote, and then later on the committee will collate the votes and accredit the votes. All these disputes, oh, he wasn't there to represent us, these people did not what we wanted, these people are too many, they're too few. It stops being hearsay. It's not, there's now hard data to use to verify things. Secondly, it allows people who are far away to actually pay attention and say, oh, we want to vote now for this or for that. And within the theoretical model we want to apply, whether you pick the electoral college system or not, you can still do absentee voting. Now, I said it was proposed to be considered. I did not say it has been adopted. Because at the AGM, a lot of concerns were raised.
Yes.
Genuine concerns. And we realized that that was not the right forum to exhaust this issue. So as at now, that system has not been adopted, but it is still being considered. What we think the House should do, in the same spirit of reviewing everything else, is take a little time over the next few weeks and months to assess the merits and demerits of such a system. What we at leadership level want to do is want to set up the option. Adopting is different from creating an option. If you don't have the option, you cannot adopt or not adopt. It's by default not adopted. But later, what we're working on, say, okay, you know what, let's even test it. Even if you have all the things on the ground and you're following the old model of you have to go in person, vote on that day. So if you couldn't come, you can't vote. And if you didn't make it to that place, you can't vote. But even if you do that, let's know what would have been the reaction had it been we used the electronic system. Now, if you explore that successfully, it will now inform the next election after that. Or if people are convinced that it's worth looking into, we look at the House, what does the House want, we can adopt. Even if you adopt such a thing, there will still be some challenges, but just to leave the matter to rest for now, if we're adopting such a system, just for avoidance of doubt, it doesn't mean we won't have an AGM. For such a system to be credible, there will be a physical AGM, you must have a quorum number of people in person present, you must have the candidates, so it's the same thing you have, but now you have a virtual vote which has been authenticated to add to your analysis. So that is being studied right now, and anybody who has ideas about that can refer to the House to the Secretariat, and encourage us so that over the next few months, when we fine-tune the system, people can now decide whether it's worth adopting or adjusting. Yeah. To that end, I feel Daniel and his people have ideas about this sort of thing. As an OAP and a communications person, could you address two things quickly? One is this virtual election option. Second thing is this issue of how to carry people along. As the President said, many people are not carried along one way or the other, and you know it's a very big challenge because they're all over the world. What can you say to add to that?
Well, first, I totally agree with the President when he spoke about the fact that we're looking at people who are influential, who have clout in their set. It is very, very important. Now, the thing is, if we're having this concern about, like you said, this concern of two-edged thing, if you carry people that have clout and some people will say that they are being left out, no. Those people who feel that will not be left out because those that have clout will control the narrative and they would follow. That's right. That's how it works. So there's a little percentage of possibility that some people will be left out. No, you carry those that have the clout, and in a class, both those that are noisemakers and those that are brilliant, and people that follow them. So there is a little percentage of possibility that you will leave people out. So I think we should look at that. We should try to encourage people to probably have set reps that can talk in their sets. Yes. Have set reps. I mean, the leadership of chapters is election, is politics, is that. But set reps are paramount. I mean, NEC can deal with set reps. NEC can get set reps to influence their set members to do stuff. You know, so this is quite important. So I think moving forward, we should start to look at people that probably have clout, you know, that are opinion shapers in their set. And I noticed with what I saw a few times, both from my set and other set, people who kind of have a clout in their set when they were in school are not the ones that have clout now that we are all.
You're very right.
Not the ones. No, you would least expect it. It's a different ballgame. You least expect it. That these are the people that are driving conversations now in their set. Correct. And those that used to have man, those that are asking them, you go the meeting. And yes, it is. I mean, so that is exactly. In fact, some don't want to even come out and be set reps. They will say, okay, that won't be set up. But I think we need to really engage them. We can ask questions, we can do an unofficial survey, just to look for people. If we can get one or two next members, just try to people 1 or 2 words. I mean, let those people be encouraged to know that, see, your clout is not to be wasted. Yes. Use your clout and attract.
And that's where information even becomes powerful. Yes. Information to me, I know we have online, I know we have Facebook, I know we have all that, but we all know that old school still works better when it comes to communication. You don't discuss with your wife on Facebook. You don't discuss with your wife on text message. Talking to your wife is still the most important way to communicate. So whatever information you want to pass across, when you pass it through the set reps, even if you want to tell them anything about national, you want to tell them anything about chapter, when you pass it through the set reps and the set reps go to their set, these are influential set reps. Yes. I tell you, simple thing as the membership dues you're talking about is for one set rep who is active in his set, who has clout, to go to his set, look for those who have the financial ability to cover up for those who do not have. So one person can pay for 20 people in that set. And that's what you do. You have just carried the set along. Oh, yes. And because you're not going to write one person and put the amount, you're going to write all the 20 people. But in that set, you all know that it was one person that paid it. But it still means that the guy whose name is there, whether I paid it or not, he has paid his dues, and he has a say in this association.
And some other people. So at this point, we'll have to add another topic.
Okay.
Yes. Because, well, just give me 30 seconds on the online thing. What can you say?
I mean, quite interesting, but I mean, it will really have issues. It will have hitches that we need to really look into it critically. But the online thing is an amazing idea. I wanted to drag the president a bit when he said we should leave it. I said, president, you are behaving like an endrapper. About this thing now. It's online. This is what Nigeria.
So give us your views, please.
Let's have it done. I mean, it would encourage.
By this, you mean online election?
Yes, okay. but it's a lot of work needs to go into it. But it's not. It's a fantastic idea.
I think we're going to go into a trial period on that. I've told the publicity secretary that you can still do a mock trial. especially now that we're still operating, the Constitution says we should continue to operate the Electoral College, and I've given reasons why. So even if we're doing the online voting, we're still saying we can engage people at that level, do a mock trial, see how it works out, and then we can then tell the House that this is what we've done, and everybody can see the whole process. If people then adopt that, that's fine. I think the key thing is we still will not announce results until the day of the election. So everybody must still come for that AGM and must still come for the election.
I think what we can see here, there are many methods. Once the principle thing is explored on principle, we can find a way around it. Okay, so there's some issues, some more questions from the House here, and one question is as follows, and I would like my sister Salimata to advise. There have been stories of inappropriate behavior that have been, by some authority figures, whether they're teachers, staff, or students, or whatever, towards other ones. And as we know, it's now part of the national conversation. What's right and what's wrong in the relations, especially across the sexes, in schools and so on. Now we know the kind of society we live in. We know that there are many kinds of problems. You can't boil the ocean. You can't solve everything at once. But we heard that there were some issues. And without going into too much detail, would like you to tell us what the position of the National Executive Committee, or FEDGOKOSA as a whole, is on the issue of misconduct, particularly sexual-related misconduct in the society and in the schools. What's the position of the NEC?
Thank you very much. The truth about it is that this sex-related misconduct is a cankerworm that has eaten so deep into our society and then the world at large. And the NEC has taken a position that is going to launch a new initiative, which is Press Me, and that is Preventive Sex-Related Misconduct from Youth Initiative. It means that NEC will continue to do or embark on a due diligence from time to time to make sure that this issue is nipped in the bud. But the question one we'll have to ask is, can you eradicate this in the system? No. But it can be curbed to the barest minimum. But people have to be held account for their consequences. There has to be scapegoats for people to nip this, for us to nip this issue in the bud. So it's an ongoing thing for NEC, and the NEC will do all its best to collaborate with the school to make sure that this issue is curbed to the barest minimum.
Mr. President, this Press Me initiative is something that we understand is been launched by FEDGOKOSA, and it's, from what we understand, it's an enlightenment campaign above all. We are an association, and we're supposed to use what we've learned, as Fati told us, to help the next generation. And this Press Me initiative is meant to enlighten, first and foremost, and then empower, secondly, people in society. Now, let us remember that many problems in this society are what I call gray area problems. And when you look at, especially as a lawyer, you would know, by the time a case has become a case, there are many things that may have happened before then that would have prevented it from reaching the level of being a case. So the initiative is, as she said, preventing sex-related misconduct in the youth, preventing. And as I said, it's a public enlightenment thing. What the Press Me initiative is supposed to do is to conduct workshops, seminars, and the like to help people understand.
Create more awareness.
Much more awareness, because you have victims of all sorts of victims, all sorts of problems. Many people who get into this sort of trouble don't realize or don't intend to get in that much trouble, but because they don't know better and because they're not well educated, they misbehave. Or sometimes they may misbehave a little bit, not knowing that it's not being taken as a small thing, it's a big thing. And on the other hand, you have a lot of people who are misguided about values, about how to progress in life. So having said all this, I just want to hear from the President directly, because of some concerns that were raised earlier in the House about this sort of issue. What has been NEC's position, next role for the issue as has been presented to us, and going forward with the Press Me initiative, where will NEC, or what is NEC going to do?
Okay, first of all, it's a serious issue. I don't think, at no stage, did NEC ever take the issue lightly. We took it very serious. The first time the issue came to us, we heard it was rape. Being a lawyer, I don't take those things lightly. You don't mention rape and you think it's a light subject. It's actually a criminal offense. And so the issue was we had to investigate, was it actually rape? But then later on it turned out that it was not rape. It turned out that it was sexual harassment. We're not saying that sexual harassment is not serious. I'm saying as a lawyer is not in the same position as rape. So what you would investigate for rape, or what you would try to find out for rape, is completely different from what you will find out from sexual harassment, because a lot of people may not even know whether they were, what they think is sexual harassment may not even be sexual harassment. So what we're doing when we say we're going about an enlightenment campaign is that we have talked, well, I'll say I've sent out NEC members to talk to a lot of NGOs. We've engaged them. Well, we've also talked with USOSA. So USOSA are very much aware of what we're saying. And USOSA said, look, FGC Kwali, you're a young school, you're not the only people with this kind of allegations. We have even FGGCs, where they're all girls. And we have more allegations coming from them. This is how we deal with them. And so what we've said with USOSA is that, thank you, USOSA, but we also feel that we should do more. Now, we are concerned about FGC Kwali. So most of the programs we're going to FGC Kwali, we have programs for the students, where we want to teach them, this is what happens for you to know there's sexual harassment. When it happens, this is what we expect you to do. We don't expect you to tell us this story 1 year later, 2 years later. We're saying when it happens, this is exactly how you should act, and this is exactly who you should be telling. Forget any threat that is made to you. This is when you do this, we will step in. We also have programs for the teachers, where we're saying to them, if you don't know that certain actions, certain statements, certain behavior is sexual harassment, let us teach you now that is sexual harassment. So even if you have been doing it in other schools and you have been getting away with it, you have been doing it in the society or in your family, if you do it in FGC Kwali, we will come after you. And that is how serious we're taking it. We know that we have the current students, and we know that we're modern times, and we have social media, we have a lot of ways we can deal and prove modern things. I also understand that we have old cases. I call them old cases because there are people that have said, look, I was sexually harassed 10 years ago, I was sexually harassed 20 years ago. Again, we're saying we don't take these things lightly. Where it is, if one person is saying this happened in school, it is very difficult to chase up if it is just one person's evidence. So I'm saying this to all FGC Kwali alumni members. If there are cases you know, if there are situations that has happened in the past, and you know more than one people have experienced this, everybody should be able to talk. If you have 2, 3, 4, 5 cases and they're all linked to one person, it is easier for us to pursue that case. But if we have just one case and we're trying to even wonder, did it happen, did it not happen, is a problem. My final point on this is that the society that we live in today, everybody needs to understand there are procedures that you need to follow. You don't scream rape, you don't scream sexual harassment that happened years back without taking a first step of reporting it formally. A lot of people have said to me, do I need to report it formally? Look, a lot of what has happened after, everybody should note, this is an allegation that was brought to the association in March 2019. A lot of you are aware that in the society today, there have been bigger cases that have come up after March 2019 that has been in the social media. But one thing is constant. If you check, the people have taken formal steps first to report it in the right authorities, and then the authorities have started investigating it before they then come out, and then everybody then decides whether they believe, they don't believe, or they support. The society we live in, there's some people that will believe you. There are also some people that will not believe you. And you'll be shocked, the people that don't believe you, you'll be shocked, the people that even believe the story. So at the end of the day, we're saying, we don't want social media drama. Let's make this issue real. Report it first. We'll then take it up as an association. We'll stand behind you. But I, Cyprian Amgbah, will not walk up to the authorities and report a case on behalf of somebody where I do not have privy or I do not have first-hand information of that incident myself. It just means I am giving the police or I'm giving the authorities a story. But when we have those cases and more people are coming out, more people are saying this is exactly what happened, that is what we will take back to the authorities so that the authorities will properly investigate. But we are doing everything possible about it. We're not ignoring the voices. We're rolling out initiatives and programs that will be able to deal with these issues.
I'd like to just add that we also within this press me, which is our umbrella initiative,
Yes.
we have everything that has been said here, and we also want to make a few private systems
Yes.
led by some of our sisters here for indirect counseling about such things, private counseling for some individuals, so that we have an all-round solution. You see, Nigeria has problems because we keep having half-baked. Maybe you have gari without soup, you have
Yes.
soup without gari.
Yes, yes.
There are many girls who might not have had an incident that is as serious as to be called an offense, but maybe having fears, suspicions, vibes, and they need to speak to someone a bit older privately
right.
to be able to aid. And that lady can tell, oh, no, don't worry. Or yes, worry. Or take note. Give private advice. So that's one of the instruments, part of the PRESME initiative. And as we said, we're working with USOSA, and it's rolling out bit by bit. And in fact, very soon, together with other publications, we'll speak about this.
Correct.
Mr. President, I'd like to round up with certain angles. You and your cabinet, have been in position for a few years now, 2-3 years now, and you used to talk before at the beginning about bridging the gap. We understand that your emphasis in the first tenure was bridging this gap between the sets. Now, some people have lost track of where we came from in the year, let me say, 2016, and actually how much progress, because the irony is that people have become used to an active FEDGOKOSA. People have become used to, oh, the PRO, Mr. Ukpong has said this, the Supreme President has said that. But just about 4 years ago, most people didn't even know that there was something called FEDGOKOSA. So can you please quickly tell us where we have come from, what are the intangibles that have been achieved, and where are we going as a society?
Let's me ask Grace.
Okay, Grace.
And the reason why I'm asking that is this, I don't want to sound like
praising yourself. Well, we must not call it praise, assessment. But since we have some neutral people here, Grace and Grace is one of the best truth tellers. She says like it is.
Okay, so when did they find out about FEDGOKOSA, and what do they think has happened since they found out?
You crown it at the end. Okay, please.
I will then be able to.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll give my personal
yes.
experience. Yeah. So the first time I found out about FEDGOKOSA, I think I randomly saw it on Facebook, and then I went for one Abuja chapter meeting. I can never forget the experience. And then, a lot of people were talking, and I felt that like, these people were too elderly. Like, they were not in this century, because what they were saying was, hello, this is 2016.
What year though? What year?
That was like 2016.
Okay.
I'm like, hello, we are in 2016, what are people even saying? And then I actually wanted to give my honest opinion that day. And then they just told me, sorry, what's it again? You're too young, please. And then I was like, wow. So is it because I'm young, you think I really don't have sense?
They didn't say that.
No. That's how
you felt.
You're to your definition.
Yes.
No. She's just saying how she felt.
That was how I felt.
Carry on.
It was more like, because you're young, you graduated when again, like you don't have anything to say, so please just comfortably sit down. And then I told myself, I won't even bother. I will just stay in my house and rest. And then like Cyprian kept doing, I just used to see Cyprian, then this old man said, what was this? Everything. Consistency. The key is consistency.
Consistency is key.
Because
I have to quote you on that.
Cyprian always kept doing videos. He was always talking. Like, if you open Facebook, you definitely see his face. Even when you don't want to click on the video, you just be like, let's even hear what he's saying. Do you get? So at the point, I was like, he will soon be tired. But then I'm like, oh, this guy is actually not getting tired. So I just said, okay, let me just have an open mind and give it a try.
So what did it lead to now?
And then, to an extent, a lot of my sets have actually accepted FEDGOKOSA. Like, a lot of my sets come out for set. At least we had Kamal. We had.
You've done Kamal set.
No,
you've done Kamal set.
I think Kamal has a wife in my set because.
My set. He's now true. Right. This is the other side of FEDGOKOSA. You see why Kwali is working? Kamal has a wife in his set.
So, like, I just realized that over the year, like, sincerely speaking, to me, CY did a very good job in bridging the gap. Because now I can comfortably count how many ex-students I've known. I can also state how many ex-students have helped me one way or the other, as in career-wise, networking, connecting. Like in the last AGM, I met the husband of Bridal Experience to think that I was actually pushing to be their social media handler. And then the husband was just sitting beside me.
Look at that.
Do you understand? So this is what Kwali has done. Like, they help you to network and meet people who can actually put you in a better space, career and otherwise. So yes, to an extent.
Fati, what can you say,
It's like
please?
I love
Same
you.
question.
Well, she has said it all.
Okay.
Even though my set have always been a very active set.
Oh, yes. Oh, for mafia.
Yes. We're actually not mafia.
Okay.
Yes. But when the whole FEDGOKOSA thing started, we all thought, like, okay, let's see what they will do, actually, And yes, of course, they were all elderly, but I think we've been able to come to a very good relationship, rapport between us and them, and that's why we're here. Because without that, we wouldn't actually be here. Yes, that's why we're
So,
here.
Mr. President, yeah.
Before, can I say
Yes,
something?
Okay,
please.
quickly.
For me, what I would say is, see why I became the big brother that a lot of people needed
Yes.
at some point. Because,
Okay.
like you said, of us, we've actually been very, very active, like all through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were there at the first supposed AGM. And as it is transpired, and we stood our ground that day, and we said we'd rather boycott this thing than give in to what people were saying. And when CY came, I remember then, I was in England then, when people were saying the whole fight on Facebook and all that. When I met CY, I now called, I said, look, this guy is not, what people are saying, no, down at OGs, this is, I think there's a future here. And the key thing is, so people had an open mind, people had a closed mind. They actually saw that CY is a big brother. The people that Kwali, FEDGOKOSA needed at that time to bridge that gap. Because with that, even in families, you can have an elder brother that's not a big brother.
Yes.
Yes.
But CY became a big brother, and through that being a big brother, he's been able to bridge that gap. They can see people are now leveraging off what he's done to now connect, and people are not even thinking about it anymore. That the idea, like when you mentioned bridge the gap, like also has to now connect back that there's actually a time that FEDGOKOSA needed a gap.
Yes.
So I mean, it's a good thing that we don't even think about anymore. That it's become like so
It's not.
seamless.
I think we should be commended about something, just referring to what Grace commented about, which is that you said you were very young and sit down. I appreciate both sides of the issue,
Yes.
and I think the fact that we're all sitting here says that we don't reason that way.
Yes.
But let's remember that some of us have children who are among us.
Yes.
So there's no how her daughter or my son would be there, and then we are now mates because we're in the AGM. And you have to just remember as well that that's why it's careful. All of us had a lot of seniority in school. Remember how it was. 1 year you're senior, you lie down under his bed for 5 hours.
Yeah.
So when people now come out, you have to understand the views of both people, because sometimes the young ones come, they have the energy, they don't have the experience. They come and say, oh, we should do this, we should do this, we should do this. But as Cyprian said, the person is saying these things 18 years ago, 12 years ago, we had meetings where this was addressed, and like they don't know. So much as we understand that people are matured individuals now, we also remember why there are some old-fashioned people. And we accommodate everybody, because the truth is, once you are respectful, there will be no problem about who is older, who is younger. It's when a person is disrespectful, that's when they remind you that they are not your mates. Yeah. So having said that, President,
I think to summarize, let me just classify it into 3 different parts, and it will make everything clear. So I campaign on bridging the gap. It hasn't changed. It still will not change. And it will not change because the first stage was a stage where the seniors were the seniors and the juniors were the juniors. So at the first AGM and the first election that we ever had in the association, that was the problem we had. I identified the problem right there, that we still had a lot of people that came in and said we're seniors. And so we all sat down from K89, 90, 91, every other person just take your position there. It was very obvious at that AGM. And everybody was, because it was the first time we were meeting. And we're all still coming back for Kwali way of thinking. I'm your senior, you're my junior. And we're getting to know each other for the first time. I never met 2004 set. I'm getting to know them for the first time. I saw this large group of people and I wondered who they were. Sure. And so we obviously had that problem. That's the past. Then the second stage was when I campaigned and I came in as president. I said I was going to stop all that. And I said, look, I need to bridge the gap. I need people to understand that you still will see your senior and give him the respect. That's just normal. It's just a natural thing to do. But then you now know that you're both in a position where you're trying to make things work. So I needed people to come to meetings or functions or to work together without saying, what set are you? If you're trying to identify the set, you're just trying to see of what relevance or importance they can play at this particular point in time. There's what I'll tax 89 set, I will not tax a younger set. But yet, I still didn't want people to work on the basis of set issues. So bridging the gap for me was in your chapters. somebody from another set can even become the president from a younger set. I really don't care. So in your set, you're able to make people understand that, look, we can interact with older set, junior set. It should not make any difference. We're all Kwali. What is the future? The future is the biggest problem, but we will get there. Why I say it's the biggest problem is because we keep talking about who will Cyprian hand over to. Whoever I hand over to, who will that person hand over to? What is the future of this association? Whether we like it or not, there will come a time when somebody from a particular set will become the president of this association. And he will have seniors above him, he will have juniors below him. I'm trying to work, and I've told my NEC members that, look, why we need to continue to bridge the gap till we get there is that a lot of people might say they're relating to me or they're responding to me because I was their senior, because I'm K90 set. I want to hear less and less of that. I want people to say, oh, it's your character, it's your person, it's how you relate with us. So that whoever is coming in will also have the same character and mindset. That don't worry if you're 2004 set, don't worry if you're even 2000 set. When we bridge the gap in the future, it means that even if we get a president from 2004 set, but he knows how to relate with people of the older set, he can still go to an AGM and still stand and still talk to people of the older set, and they will still listen to him. A lot of people ask me why. And Joseph, let me round up by saying this. People don't learn, and we need to learn. I go to social meetings to meet with other presidents of older associations. I attend other association, alumni association of Unity School. I attend the AGM to find out how somebody from a younger set can stand as the president of the AGM and talk to fathers and grandfathers, and they all sit down and listen to him. I go to SOSA meetings to watch how the former president, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, or the current president, Lawrence, is able to stand and talk to people that are his fathers or grandfathers at an SOSA function, and everybody is listening to him. What has happened? It means over time, the alumni, they bridge the gap completely in that alumni. Over time, USOSA bridge the gap in that alumni, which means that is the future of FGC Kwali.
Well, to round up on this, we're out of time, is that the underlying emphasis you've made is that we have to build the system.
Yes.
We all know practically now that if it's work in progress. Everything we do counts.
Yes.
If suddenly today we were to have a younger person in charge, he may not have the influence.
Yes.
Many people will just ignore him. We know that's the side, and he may split the association. But if we keep on doing what we're doing now, tangibly marked with systems, with projects, with participation, it will outgrow this notion.
That's correct.
And we'll have the proper balance. Having said that, I think we have come to the end of the program. What we want to say here is that this conversation has not ended. As we all know here, each of these issues may itself be a whole day's conversation. So what we need is for you people, our members, to understand that we need your involvement. The least you can do is just pay attention. We will be communicating from the NEC and from the different chapter levels and so on. We need you to pay attention. We need you to ask questions. We need you to be engaged. What we are looking for to the President and myself and my Provost here is to be overwhelmed with participation. Not just come and say, Mr. President, I'm your PRO. Please, I have 500 inquiries. I can't keep up. You know, that would be like that, because that equally means that the school may have 200 million naira worth of infrastructure upgrade within 3 years. It means that our members under the welfare provisions may give 500 jobs to the younger ones who are coming up. It means that we may have 20, 30 mentorship seminars and so on. I mean, I'm sure some of you know we even have very senior citizens. We have House of Rep members here and there and so on. We're all one big family. If you look at the alumni of certain big schools abroad, you will hear that, oh, you went to so-so school. In fact, because of that alone, they put you somewhere. We're trying to work towards that. So this conversation has not ended. There's a lot of ground to cover, but I think a lot has been said here. Let's continue this on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and so on. So I'd like to thank all my panelists for your time. I'd like to thank our camera crew here. I'd like to thank my Provost here, who, by the way, she's going to take a lot for dinner this night. After all this, she's a mother, she'll be our mother. Thank you very much all. It's been a pleasure. The conversation has not ended. Follow us up on Facebook and on WhatsApp and the rest, and we'll let you know how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.